Last time on Dragon Ball Z, each viewer in the World Tournament was involuntarily gifted the spectacle of one of the worst ass beatings in the event's history, as Videl got absolutely mollywopped by the MAGA warrior Spopovich. The cutie with a crew cut did her damnedest to fight back against Big Vich's monstrous assault, dealing out enormous damage to the former jobber that frankly would have had any normal human being 10 toes deep. But once Videl's offensive ended and Spopovich arose from the tournament floor scratch-free, it was apparent to the more eagle-eyed warriors in attendance that while they may not have been 100% sure what kind of demonic factors were behind the man's superhuman constitution, one thing was certain as Spopovich's whereabouts on January 6, 2021, that if Videl didn't leave the ring now, her life was in grave danger. And unfortunately, the prophecies proved correct. Once Videl exhausted all her resources and it was clear that she had nothing left in the tank, Big Vich fashioned a quick smile on his face laced with the worst of intentions, and for the next few minutes proceeded to beat the poor high school prodigy within an inch of her life on the world stage for all her loved ones to see. And it was right as Gohan and his do-rag had all they could bear and were preparing to rush the ring when Yamu, Spopovich's partner in crime, ordered the protein-powered pugilist to put the girl down, as he had enough fun and there was work to still be done. It was at the utterance of this order that the nightmare finally ended, and Spopovich lazily dropped Videl out of the ring, completing the match. Things moved quickly following this, with Goku making a trip over to the plug Corins to cop a few beans for the road, giving one to his son Gohan to give to his paramour, ensuring her health and safety before the next match. And with Videl's well-being secured, Gohan took to the stage to fight his own demon, staring down the mysterious Kibito. But Gohan would soon realize this match wouldn't just be any normal test of strength, as his opponent, refusing to take a fighting stance, instead made a request, ordering Gohan to turn Super Saiyan so his abilities could be analyzed and his worthiness as a potential ally assessed. It was at this time as well that the Z-homies observing Gohan's match were met with a revelation of their own, when Big Green informed them that the smarmy blue man that's been giving them the ick since they walked into the tournament grounds was actually Kaioshin, the god of gods, and it would appear this divine being had a request to make of them. Supreme Kai informed Goku and company that he's almost positive that both Spopovich and Yamu intend to gank Gohan shortly after his match with Kibito, but to not be alarmed as this is all according to Keikaku and he believes they don't want to kill him, but rather they're after his energy. Back on stage, despite his trepidations at first, Gohan decided to humor his ring buddy and give him the show he was looking for. But that's not all. Gohan decided he was feeling a bit generous and was willing to take things a step further, and he was going to show Clifford a power beyond even that of the once legendary Super Saiyan transformation. With little warning, Gohan began to gather his energy, and in a short time, the arena was surging with newfound sense of heat and pressure, his hair now golden as he was surrounded in an aura of lightning and blinding light. Those in the audience stared at the ring dumbfounded, sure that the World Martial Arts Tournament budget had finally gotten out of hand, as the theatrics were now going too far. But despite their skepticism, some in the stands felt there might be more going on than simple blockbuster movie special effects, recalling the Golden Warriors that showed up to the cell fight and beginning to piece the puzzle together bit by bit. Videl stared at her boo thing in shock as well, wondering just what type of Area 51 shenanigans she signed up for, deciding to play doctor with this country bumpkin from school. Now Big Red stood in shock as well. The smug, dissatisfied grimace his face seemed to permanently carry, giving way to open-mouthed confusion and beads of sweat upon the realization that there are people occupying the earth with these kinds of hands on them. Even Gohan seemed drunk off his own power a bit, smelling his own farts as he asked his flabbergasted opponent what he thought of his new look and if he still wanted to square up, seeing the type of time he was on now. One of the only people in the arena absolutely unimpressed was none other than the prince himself, watching the goings-on in the arena completely straight-faced and honestly low-key pissed, more than happy to share with the rest of the room that he could smell Gohan's garbage power level from there, and that the kid honestly had more fight in him before he could even grow nut hair back when they were boxing the insufferable bastard Cell. This part right here is a significant moment for a couple reasons, homies, so let me take a moment as the mayor of Yap City to rap with y'all real quick. For one, it's yet another indicator of Vegeta's level of respect for Gohan. As much as the kid gets on his nerves, seeing his fall off low-key might piss Vegeta off more than anyone else there because of the potential he sees in Gohan to be the ultimate Saiyan warrior, a culmination of battle experience and raw talent that is so rare to find, and yet is seemingly wasted on a child who seems to be more than okay with accepting mediocrity. And it's this aspect of Vegeta's anger that I really want to talk about, because more than any character, I feel like Vegeta's feelings towards Gohan echo a large portion of the fan base and who they want Gohan to be. So many people just want to see Gohan step into his shoes as the undisputed GOAT, to take the torch that had been passed to him by his father, embrace his mantle as the Earth's protector, and get off the roller coaster of inconsistency and strength he's been riding since the beginning of Z when he was introduced. And while I completely understand the frustrations, I was definitely there when it came to Gohan 2 for some time. I think when you look at Gohan this way, you completely ignore a huge part of who the character is though, and that's the reality that the homie, at least in my own mental, does not see himself as a fighter necessarily. For example, right, have y'all ever found that you have a talent for doing something that you low-key have no interest in doing? I know I have 1000% experienced this in my own life, and if I was a betting man, I would guess each of y'all at least once have come into contact with an activity that you seem to have a natural proclivity for, but would be hard-pressed to have the motivation for even if somebody paid you to do it. To me, this is what fighting is to son Gohan. Within his DNA, the fella has the potential to be one of the greatest dogs the Saiyan race has ever put to task. But the reality is that in his mind, being the greatest fighter ever sounds as enjoyable as using the Dragon Balls to which a Zenkai boosts his cell back to life as his roommate. This isn't to say I think bro hates fighting, I think homie just sees it fundamentally different than his pops and Vegeta do. For them fellas, ball is life. If you ain't spending at least 18 to 20 hours out of the day throwing hands, then what are you really doing? But for Gohan, it's more that he knows there are bad guys out there and that they need cooked. And it can be fun to spar with the homies and stay active, but his pops needs fighting like Fleece Johnson needs booty, and it's just not that serious for young Gohan. And what happens when there's an activity that you only really mess with on the side or out of obligation? You fall off. There's no way you're gonna be able to compete with somebody who eats, drinks, and breathes their favorite activity while you only dabble with it when you have to or you got the time. And this is how I see it with the bro Gohan and why he rises and falls so crazy on the tier list on such a regular basis. But he absolutely has the potential to be that guy, but having the potential for something and having the desire to be that something are mad different, and this is the part that Vegeta doesn't get or really even care to get if we're keeping it a buck when it comes to Gohan. I'm open to conversation though, homies. If y'all interpret Gohan's character in a different way or you got a unique perspective, hit me up and let me know your thoughts. You already put me on a mad perspectives I would have never peeped alone, and that's the type of stuff a guy can't help but appreciate. Getting back to the matter at hand though, following Gohan's ki charge, Big Spopovich and Yamu took a particular interest in the Golden Warrior. Then out of nowhere, Yamu pulls out a comically large turkey baster with a pointed end, and the two begin rushing the ring with devious intent, preparing to do God knows with that medieval contraption. Gohan peeps him out of the corner of his eye and cocks his fist back to give them the craziest why I oughta either of them had ever had, but suddenly his muscles tense and he freezes. On the sidelines, Supreme Smug has his hands outstretched, and it appears that for whatever reason, he's the one keeping Gohan frozen in order to be assaulted by the two Goon Lords. While Gohan is subdued, Yamu and Big Vitch gave Gohan the Rikers Island special, with Spopovich getting behind Gohan with his musty ass arms and choking him out, while Yamu came in from below and shanked Buddy in the rib cage with the world's deadliest turkey baster. All Gohan's friends could do was watch in horror as Yamu brought Gohan to his knees with the soul sucking of a lifetime, leaving him breathless and powerless by the end, wondering where he was and just what the hell happened. Gohan ain't felt a sensation like that since Chi-Chi left him and Videl alone home for a few hours when she took Goten back to school shopping. After seeing Gohan been thoroughly drained, Kaioshin informed the absolutely lost Z crew that he'd be following the two bald banditos and that they were welcome to follow if they wish to learn more about the situation. Goku agrees and prepares to follow the Kai, but is stopped immediately by Vegeta, who asks him just where his highfalutin candy ass thinks he's going. Vegeta continues, reminding him that the only reason he showed up to this absolute farce of an event was because he thought the two of them were going to get the box. So he'll be damned he just lost however many hours out of his life watching these low power level having waste of space slap fight only to get blue balled by his tango partner. Goku's like, oh shucks buddy, lighten up. I mean, if this Kaioshin fella is as important as they say and he came all the way here, don't you think it'd be interesting to find out what's going on too and follow the trail? Kakarot, the only thing that's about to be interesting about this afternoon is all the different ways I'm gonna have my size 8 Saiyan boot print up your tailpipe if you don't give me my match. Big Green, realizing that he's losing time to all this Saiyan foreplay about their upcoming match, tells him that he's leaving and begins to make his way towards the direction Kaioshin flew off. Goku begins to head out too, promising Vegeta that if he follows and plays along for now, he'll make sure they get their scrap in later, Scout's honor. Then this man Kakarot does what he does best and pawns his kids off to another person of color, this time Kibito, who agrees to look after Gohan while he heals up and to take him to their location once he's back on his feet. Upon confirming the babysitter, Kakarot headed out along with Piccolo and Supreme Kai on Spopovich and Yamu's trail. Back at the tournament grounds, medical personnel were coming to take a look at Gohan's shiv wound when Kibito arrives and tells him that he'll handle it from here. In an act resembling Dende's power of healing, Kibito places a hand onto Gohan's body, healing his wounds and returning his lost power. Kibito also remarks with shock at the revelation that Gohan still has power left untapped within him and is blown away at the seemingly endless well of energy this young human boy seems to possess. Kibito asks Gohan if he wishes for answers, and if so, to follow him to learn more. Gohan begins to leave and is stopped by Videl, who wishes to tag along, wanting to know more about the incoming threat herself and feeling strange at the idea of staying there and out of the loop by herself. While Gohan and Videl begin to make their way out of the arena, Big Krill catches up with his wife and asks if she wishes to tag along to see what's going on too. Krillin must have forgot his wife is a certified bag chaser though. She immediately declined, telling him she is good on the whole ordeal if there ain't no Zenny involved. 18 has Krillin promised to get his short ass out of there if things get too active though, and like that, half of the World Tournament's participants flew off to parts unknown, leaving announcer Sama with a brain aneurysm trying to think of what on earth he could do to salvage this tournament considering the absolute state of what it's become. From here we return to Supreme Kai and Kaioshin's perspective, where the God of Gods prepares to give us the lore dump on the actual plot of this arc and cement the end of Gohan's slice of life adventures. Supreme Kai explains he's appreciative of the company of the Earth Warriors, not because of the threat presented by Biggie and Smalls, but rather by the puppeteer pulling the strings. Supreme Kai continues, explaining to the Mali crew that before the dawn of civilization, there was a magician on what could only be described as absolute do-dirty timing. Mans came from a godless household and the parents named him Babidi. Low-key might be half the reason he turned out the way he did, but that's a story for another day. One day, while Babidi was on his regular BS shenanigans, he cooked up something extra grimy, a monster known as Majin Buu. And this Boo fellow was a grade A sociopath. Mans has no fear, no job, no emotions, thriving simply off vibes and a will to see the world burn. Sounds like he's from Detroit. My bad, y'all. Detroit homies, don't kill me. Even in its infancy, after a few short years, Majin Buu has several hundred planets as notches on his body bag belt. And mans like Vegeta couldn't help but think to himself, shit, only a few hundred planets in a few years? That's rookie numbers compared to Saiyan timing. This Buu fella's softer than this blue man's mohawk. Look, I'm gonna give you one pass on talking about my mohawk, Vegeta, because now this mess is serious. Vegeta could only look on in horror after registering that this dude just Professor X'd him, and now his intrusive thoughts weren't even safe. Supreme Kai's lore dump continued though, explaining to Vegeta that during the time Majin Buu was concocted, there were 5 Kaioshin, each with enough mustard in them to destroy Frieza with a single ki blast, and all 4 of them got mopped by Majin Buu low div. We then switch to Kibito, who was given a similar lore dump to Gohan and Videl, as he proceeds forward with the story, informing them that the amount of energy it takes to keep an absolute force of nature like Majin Buu under control was astronomical. So Babidi sealed him away until the time was right. Babidi then made his way to Earth and was preparing to unleash the chaos of Majin Buu onto the unsuspecting planet when he got murked by Supreme Kai, who left Majin Buu sealed away, thinking that this was the only real option since Babidi was the only one who could break the seal on the Boo's Pringles can. But there was one major oversight. Kai's surveillance team got caught lacking and they were unaware that Babidi got some cheeks at some point and had a whole son he named Babidi, whom was on just as trash a timing as he was. So now the goal had become clear. The Z crew, with the help of Kibito and Supreme Kai, were looking to stop the resurrection of the brain of terror Majin Buu at all costs. And the only way to do this was to put the grippies on Bibidi's son Babidi and put an end to the cursed family tree once and for all. Doing their best to process the lore dump, Goku asked a follow-up question, wondering just how strong this Babidi guy is and what kind of fight they can expect coming up. Supreme Kai informs him that this may be a different kind of battle compared to what they're used to. Babidi, if he's anything like his ugly ass pops, will be weak in physical strength, but possess great magical ability that makes him a threat despite his frail size. Specifically, Babidi has a special ability when it comes to taking the darkness that hides within a fighter's heart and overwhelming them with those desires so they come under his control. Poor Goku, not fully grasping the company, speaks up and is like, man, thank goodness everybody we have here is extremely pure at heart with only the best of intentions. Like, man, wouldn't it be crazy if one of us were just like not fully completing our character development arc yet and totally held on to hatred related to our inferiority complex and years of battlefield trauma that shaped the entire essence of who we are into adulthood? Man, that would be wild, huh? And as Vegeta's eyes glazed over, we return to Kibito, who informed Gohan that basically Buddy got used as a giant yellow decoy to verify Spopovich and Yamu's intent. Supreme Kai was pretty sure of their goals already, but by allowing Gohan to get shivved up, he was able to confirm their allegiances to Babidi, whom ordered them to absorb a large amount of energy to serve as a catalyst for Majin Buu's resurrection, which if they did not hurry, would be approaching a lot faster than any of them would be prepared for. And here, with the stage for the main plot set, is where we'll call it. What a change up, homies. After chapters and chapters of slice of life civilian antics, we begin making our way into the Buu Saga proper. Tune in next time as our heroes make their way to Babidi's doorstep. What sort of horrors lie in wait for the Z crew at the Twisted Magician's hideout? And is there anything they can do to stop the resurrection of the ultimate evil? Only one way to find out. Be easy, y'all, and catch you again in the next video.